Hey, fantasy football friends. So it is week 10 of the NFL. And by now, you are probably, or should be, stacking up your team and getting ready for the playoffs because most of us only have a few games left before the playoffs. So you really want to get your team ready to take those final games and win the championship. So let's talk a little bit about what happened this week. I wanted to talk a little bit about garbage time. Now, we're hearing this term more and more, garbage time, especially with the blowouts that have been happening in the NFL. Garbage time is essentially when a team has blown out an opponent so much that the contest is basically already decided. And so they start pulling their starters or start adjusting their game plan. And they may end up, putting in people that need more playing time. So it's garbage time. This happened to me this week because I needed Eli Manning on Monday night to have a very low score. I needed him to score not more than 19 points. Now, it's Eli Manning, right? Eli Manning loves to throw the football to the other team. I thought my thoughts pretty good. Well, Eli Manning ended up, halfway through the third quarter, he still only had 5 points. Which I'm like, nice, I'm going to win this. But then the Indianapolis Colts decided that they were done playing. And we're just going to kind of play a prevent. And therefore, Eli Manning got 2 more touchdowns and 25 points. And I lost this week because of it. And it's frustrating. So frustrating. Because you know what? If the game was closer, they would have been going after him. He definitely would have thrown some interceptions, and he definitely would not have scored 2 touchdowns. But the Colts were already up by like 8 touchdowns, so what's the harm of 2? So there you have it. Tell me about garbage time. I know sometimes it works to your advantage if you are, say, my opponent this week, who got those extra points because of the garbage time. But for me, it always seems like if my quarterback's in that situation, he's throwing interceptions. And so it's bad. So I want to hear about your experience with that and what your thoughts are on garbage time. Okay, so moving on to this week. Again, we have 6 teams on the bye. So there's a lot of spaces, again, that need to be filled. So what do we have out there? We already talked about trades last week, and so hopefully I'd like to hear if any of those came through for you guys and if they were beneficial. But let's talk about who's on the waiver wire right now. Quarterbacks. I'm going to be honest with you. Quarterback situation is crappy. Very, very crappy. Because here are your options. And they're not good ones. Okay, the best options this week are Sanchez, Carr, Locker. Sanchez, Carr, and Locker. Now, Mark Sanchez is very much like Eli Manning. He loves to throw the ball to the other team. He is a turnover magnet. He, in fact, turns the ball over more than Eli Manning, which is a lot. So, but there's some upside to Sanchez, too. He's a very exciting player. So, and he's going up against a rival this week that he should be able to get some points against if he doesn't turn the ball over too much. So, Sanchez, my favorite choice this week, and actually he's still at about 60% of ownership in ESPN leagues. So, owned by most leagues, but maybe not in yours, is still Carson Palmer. I can't believe that a team that is 7-1, their quarterback is not fully owned. This team is winning, and they're winning a lot. And Carson Palmer is in the 20s every week, which Drew Brees for me was at 19. So he should be owned by everyone out there. So Carson Palmer, if you're still looking for a quarterback, and he's available in your league. Okay, running backs. Running back situation. I looked at in my league, and it's pretty bad. Everybody is owned. Everybody is owned. There are really no options out there. The best I could find, which is in both of these players are already owned in my league, is Taliaferro. Again, is still only at about half ownership, so about 50% ownership right now. And he's going up against Tennessee, which is 28th against the run. So Taliaferro, and granted he's splitting duties, but hey, some points better than 0 points. And then Sims. Sims is expected to get his start this week. I told you a little bit about him last week, but he is expected to get his start this week. They like him. They like his hands. I don't know. Bobby Rainey's had a good couple of weeks, so we'll see how much playing time he gets. But they're going up against Atlanta, which is worse in the league against the run. And they like his hands, so they may end up throwing to him anyway. So if you are desperate for a running back, that's a good choice for you. Now, the interesting thing this week in running backs is, and I don't know if a lot of people out there know it yet, but Ryan Matthews is coming back. Now, they're on a bye this week, so most people are not looking to pick him up yet. But I did. I picked him up and I sat him on my bench. So Ryan Matthews coming back next week, week 11. He's expected to make the start for the Chargers. And so this is good news for me, who needs a running back other than DeMarco Murray, and DeMarco's going to be on his bye next week, so I really need somebody. So that's an interesting piece of news. Wide receivers. The only one I really like right now as far as wide receivers are concerned, and I told you again about him last week, Martavis Bryant. Still not widely owned. I think he's only owned in about 26% of the leagues. And he's going up against the Jets, which are ranked about 20th against the pass. And he has 5 touchdowns in his first 3 games as a starter. 5. I like it. In fact, I started him last week, and I was very happy that I did. So there's, tight ends. Tight ends. Heath Miller I like with going up against the Jets. The Steelers are hot right now. And if a team is hot, then you want to go up with the Steelers. And then Michael Rivera of the Raiders going up against the Broncos is also a good choice for tight end. The Broncos aren't great against the pass, and you know that Oakland's going to be throwing a lot because they're going to try to keep up with that high-scoring Denver offense. So that's a good choice for you. All right, let's talk about my badass of the week. My badass of the week, I just mentioned him before, Martavis Bryant. Again, I'd like to mention, Ben loves him. And you know what? I'm loving him a little bit right now, too, because he scored 16 points for me, which is not a huge amount. It's a good amount, but the rest of my team really crapped the bed. So he is my badass of the week. So Martavis, welcome to my team. I hope to see you do lots more good things and take me into the playoffs. Doghouse. Another wide receiver went into the doghouse. I don't like doing it because I really like this guy, and you know I've talked about him, and he's been my badass of the week, but he just didn't score very well this week, and that is Brandon Cooks. But you know what? I still have faith in you, and I know that it was just a bad week, and we'll see you next week. Okay, let's talk about my starting lineup this week. Starting lineup for Rosalie is Drew Brees, DeMarco Murray, which I think is going to have a monster day against the Jaguars in London, Monty Ball. Now again, I told you, I am desperate for running backs right now. So much so that Monty Ball right now is questionable. He's questionable. But they're going up against Oakland, who is 31st against the run. And so I really have no other options. All my other running backs are on a bye. And all that's out there, I told you what's out there. It's not a lot. And the 2 that I gave you are already taken in my league. So I may get a big fat 0 on the Monty Ball, but I'm hoping that maybe he surprises me. It's just a desperate situation right now. Okay, Martavis Bryant is in my slot, and I love this kid. Again, I'm expecting big numbers from him. He's had 5 touchdowns in the past 3 games. Do I expect another touchdown? Yep, sure do. I expect another touchdown. So we'll see. Torrey Smith, Roddy White. Delaney Walker is my tight end because Rob Gronkowski is on a bye. Cowboys D against Jacksonville, again in London. I'm excited to see how that works out for me. Matt Prater is once again my kicker off of his bye. And on my bench is Rob Gronkowski on a bye. Texans D is on a bye. Brandon Cooks, I'm sitting just because, not because of his poor performance last week, but just because I think I have better options in those other 3 receivers. Jonas Gray is on a bye, and Ryan Matthews, who I told you to pick up, I picked up myself, is on a bye. So that's all for this week. Until next week, I hope you score lots of points, and I hope your players remain injury-free and suspension-free. See you next week.